The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
It's coming.
All these voices. All these voices.
They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead. That's what it sounded like. Good, so you know who I am. And then you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Is there a demon here watching us right now? Watching us right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight, we're going to be talking about aliens. They're having more hearings on the UFO, UAP, all that kind of stuff there in Washington, and there's some interesting stuff that have come out. For those that have been following it, you know that this is not the first round of hearings they've had on it. So for those that aren't following it, though, I think it'd be smart to kind of go over some of the stuff that they kind of admitted to already in the first round of hearings. They admitted that they have evidence of photographic video of not only what we would call UFOs, but also submersible UFOs that go into the ocean. That they have video of this captured by military aircraft, and they have been watching them for quite some time. They also admitted in the first round of hearings that the government is in possession of what they called biologics, which is a fancy way of saying they got alien bodies that they have recovered, and they're in their possession. So it's a pretty good assumption to make that they have experimented a little bit on these alien bodies, kind of done little autopsies and stuff to see how they work, what's inside of them, what makes them tick, that kind of thing. They also talked a little bit about recovered craft. They didn't really go into specifics on whether they had full craft or just pieces of craft, but they were talking about wreckage. So you can assume wreckage means a little bit of everything. That there's going to be, some pieces that are just strewn about everywhere, but also you're going to have some intact stuff that you can really study and get a handle on. Now, from the Roswell crash, we know that the material that these craft were made out of were unlike anything on Earth, that you could literally crumple it up like aluminum foil and then let it go, and it would pop right back out to its original shape and all that kind of stuff, that it couldn't be burnt. Just so many different things about it that were otherworldly that nobody had ever seen before. So they talked a little bit about that kind of stuff in the first round of hearings. In his second round of hearings, they kind of started off with the assumption already that everything that took place in the first has already been established and is fact. So there was no questioning of, hey, this was said in the first one. Is this real or is this bullshit? They didn't do that. It was kind of just, okay, everything that we already know happened. We know this. Let's move on and get to the nitty gritty here and get to some specifics. And in this, you had a guy come on and give testimony who is an ex-government guy who used to work in that, saying that there was an organized and intentional cover-up by the government to try to cover up the existence of aliens, to hide the fact that we are not alone in the universe. I believe that's how he put it, if I remember correctly. I don't know if the words are exactly right, but that was the sentiment. And basically saying that that the public has known this for a long, long time, and that we were right about it. That they do have bodies, they do have wreckage, they have all of those things, and that they try to cover them up so that we wouldn't know about it. So we learned that, which was pretty awesome. We also got into a little bit more specifics about the craft themselves and how they operate, how they fly, all that kind of stuff, because they started talking about what powers these things. And they were talking about ethereal energy sources for propulsion. And that's very interesting, because essentially what that means, to break that down for you, if you don't know what it means, it's kind of what Tesla was talking about being able to pull energy directly from the air and power all of your stuff that you need to power. And it's free energy. It's all around us. And being able to use that energy that is all around us to power your devices, to power, vehicles, to power your home, to power our cities, to power everything. Well, what they're talking about in this hearing is that these aliens are able to tap into that energy source and to use that to power their craft. So they don't have to really have fuel. They can just run off of what's around us, the energy sources that are around us, which is very, very interesting stuff. There was a lot of trying to think of how to say this, speculation. Let's say it that way. There was a lot of speculation about how these craft operated, how they were able to move without thrust as we know it, right? Without combustion. And some people said it was magnetism. Some people said that they had anti-gravity devices on board that would enable them to move here and there. Those were some theories that had been around for a long, long time. But in this hearing, we kind of learned that, at least according to these people that are testifying to Congress, who worked for the government on these things, that the way that these things are actually powered is through harnessing the ethereal energy that's all around us. So there is no combustion. There is no filling it up with gas. You know what I mean? They're not running off like a nuclear power cell or electric cells of any type. You know what I mean? It's not like anything we can do. But it's interesting because, like I was saying, Tesla originally had this idea. He discovered this ethereal energy. And he proposed that we could actually build structures that would be able to harness this energy and distribute it. And it's kind of interesting because his mock-ups of what these structures would be and how they would look and how they would operate really resembled the pyramids that are found in Egypt and all over the world. And one of the theories about that is that that's what all of these pyramids were for. That ancient man had already figured this technology out. And that's why they built all these things. So that they could harness energy and distribute it to power their civilizations. And some catastrophe came along and wiped a lot of people out. And we talked on this show before about if a major disaster happens that is an extinction level event or an almost extinction level event, that most likely civilization would be wiped out. There would be survivors, but the people that survive most likely won't know how to do anything. That's kind of just the way the odds work out, because there's very few people on the planet that truly understand how things work and can rebuild it if it gets blown up. Like I've used the analogy before that like everybody has a cell phone, right? But Do you really understand how a cell phone works? Could you build one if you needed to? If all of a sudden your cell phone didn't work anymore and everybody was dead but you, could you fix it? Could you get it working again? What about just the power in your town? If some disaster happened and everybody died and there was only a handful of people left and you were the only person in your town, could you get the power going again? Do you know how to go down to the power plant, make sure it all runs? Do you even understand anything about that? There's only a handful of people that do, and that's the same for every bit of technology. There's only a handful of people that understand how planes work and how to rebuild it and how to properly construct it so it doesn't fall out of the sky and how to fly it and all that. Not everybody can do that stuff. So the odds are you'll have some people that can do some things, but the people that really, really understand on a deep, deep level how a certain technology works and would be able to reproduce that technology most likely won't survive, because that's just the odds, because there's so few of them. And if you have a mass die-off of people, they're probably going to be in that mass die-off. So that's one theory of what has happened to humanity over time, is that we build up civilization, something comes along and wipes us out almost, and there's a few survivors, and within a couple decades, those survivors are back to caveman days again, where they're walking around with sharp sticks trying to stab something to eat. And as the generations go, people kind of forget. But we have all these ruins left, like the pyramids, and people say, well, what the hell are the pyramids for? Well, maybe they're for, that the pharaohs would build them as tombs and all this kind of stuff. And so there's theories that come about, and they find some bodies in there, so they say, hey, that's what it was for. But we don't really, really know. Some of those pyramids existed before Egypt was even a great civilization in our history, right? A lot of these monoliths and megaliths and all this kind of stuff existed long before the people who live there now. So we don't really know where some of this stuff comes from. But anyway, I digress. That's a completely different subject. What I was saying is Tesla thought that might be what the pyramids were actually for, was a power station, a way to harness this ethereal energy and store it like you would store electricity in a battery and run the civilization off of it. Which, Tesla was no dummy. I mean, he was a brilliant, brilliant man, absolute genius. One of the smartest people to ever live, probably. So I kind of put a lot of stock in what he said. And it's interesting to me that something he was talking about way back then, that a lot of people looked at him like a quack and said, man, you're crazy. You can't pull energy out of the air and run the world on it. Are you nuts? A lot of people thought that he was crazy, that there was no way in hell that could be possible. And now we find out in these hearings that that's exactly how the aliens power their craft. And you have to kind of extrapolate from that. You have to think that if they're able to do this and able to power their spacecraft using this ethereal energy, if they have that technology and that knowledge, then that would mean that they would be perfectly capable of running their entire civilization off the same energy. Because think about it. If you could pull energy right out of the air for free and have all you need, more than you ever need, it's everywhere. If you could do that, have unlimited energy, why would you use anything but that? Why would you go to your civilization, wherever it is, and say, we're going to set up a coal-fired electric plant, or we're going to do a nuclear power plant, or we're going to do windmills or solar? Why would you do any of that shit? It's all going to be inferior to this. It's not going to produce as much. It's not going to produce it cleanly. So why would you do that when you have access to unlimited free energy? You wouldn't. So that means that not only are they running their craft off this stuff, but they can run a civilization off this stuff. They can run anything off of it. Anything that requires power. They could run it with no issues. And that's very interesting. So that's some of the things that they talked about in this new set of hearings. I kind of wish they would just, the government itself would just come out and say, okay, listen, all this shit is real. Aliens exist. We've been lying to you. And we did it because you're a bunch of dumbasses who blow shit out of proportion and get all crazy all the time over nothing. And we didn't think you could handle it. And we're sorry. And let's move on to something else. You know? I think that'd be an easy way to handle things. Maybe not call us dumbasses because people get pissed off about that. But that's the reason. If you really want to know the truth, it's a multi-leveled reason. One, they think people are stupid and that they're not going to be able to handle it. And they're partially right. You know, I'm not saying everybody's stupid, but there's a lot of stupid people. And there's a lot of people that hear something and they run with it and they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. And they get all worked up and all crazy over shit. And so, yeah, that is an issue. You would have a certain segment of the population that goes batshit crazy about it. But the main reason why they hide it is because they are reverse engineering this technology. And they're using it to create weapon systems and using it to create our technology that helps us to rule the world, basically, to be the biggest and best superpower. That's why mainly they hide it. Because they don't want to share that technology with the rest of the world. Now, I'm not saying we are the only country on the planet that has this technology. But what I am saying is that we have the best scientists in the planet. And we have the ability to reverse engineer this stuff a lot better than most other countries. There are a few that can kind of keep up with us. The main one was Germany. Germany was actually ahead of us scientifically. They had better scientists, better engineers than we did. That's why at the end of World War II, we stole a bunch of them. You know, we said, hey, why don't you come live with us? And we won't put you on trial and kill you. And you can, like, work for us instead. You know? And so that's what they did. You can look that up on Google if you want to, and you'll find all kinds of interesting information. Even on Google. Now, if you look it up on other search engines, you'll find more because Google censors a lot of stuff. But you can still find enough on Google to realize that what I'm telling you is the truth. But that's the main reason why a lot of this stuff gets hidden, is because people have big mouths. And if you don't lock it down, and make sure that only the people that absolutely have to know. And even then, those people don't know everything. They're only read into the tiny little sliver that they're working on. So they might know like 1% of the information, just because that's what they're working on. But they have no idea about the rest of it. You know, that's kind of how classification works and the government works. But they know that if they don't lock this stuff down, the information, the materials, everything, then people are going to talk about it and run their mouth constantly. And then next thing you know, you got other countries bringing spies in to take a peek at what we got. Then they started building the same shit we have. And then you end up with some crazy idiot overseas that has technology way past what he's supposed to have. And a lot of those people are kind of nuts, you know. You don't want some third world dictator type to get a hold of advanced technology like that can wipe you out. So that's why the stuff is done. But we're kind of at a point now. The point I'm trying to make here is we're at a point now that the gig is up, man. I mean, everybody knows. You can't put it back in the box. You know, Pandora's box has been opened. You can't shut it again and put everything back in. It doesn't work that way. We can't unknow what we know. There's too many videos, there's too many eyewitness accounts, there's too many photographs that have been released and that people have done on their own and shared with everybody that we all have seen it now. So it's not like you can really hide it. You know, the days of there only being 3 television stations And newspapers were the only way most people got their news, was those stations and newspapers. Those days are gone. Now something can happen on the other side of the world, and within seconds, they can post it and it can go viral, and within an hour, everybody in the world knows about it. It wasn't like that before. So it was easy in the old days to shut stuff down, to make it to where people didn't know. But with the internet and with everybody having a cell phone with a camera and recording everything and all the time, I mean, there's just no way to keep stuff like this a secret anymore. So we all know it's no secret. So at this point, continuing to cover it up, continuing to lie about it, is only going to make it worse. Because not only are you coming off as liars, which we already know the government are a bunch of liars, but not only are you making yourself look bad, and the government really doesn't care about looking bad, but the bigger problem is people are going to keep digging. So if you just come out and say, look, aliens are real, we lied to you, we're sorry. We got some bodies, we got some craft that we found, no big deal, basically junk, a bunch of wreckage that we can't make heads or tails of, nothing to see here, it's all good, right? If they do something like that, then the majority of people will go, haha, we were right, and then they'll move on to something else. But by not coming out and admitting it, but you got whistleblowers that are admitting it, but then the government stays quiet about it, doesn't say anything. By not addressing it and just saying, all right, look, you got us, man. We can't hide this shit anymore. Yeah, there's aliens. Since they're not doing that, what's going to happen is people are going to keep digging because people want to prove it. Because the thing about the conspiracy theory type people, right, is a lot of times we're right. We've been proven right over and over and over again about a lot of different things. So the driving force behind a lot of these people is they want to prove what they've been saying is true. Because you got to realize that when you come out and you say stuff that is against the narrative that is the accepted version, right? A lot of people look at you like you're crazy. A lot of your family, a lot of your friends, they talk about you. They're like, yeah, he's kind of nuts. That dude's kind of crazy. They talk a lot of shit. And you're always kind of the black sheep everywhere you go, where you're looked down upon and you're laughed at and all this kind of stuff. So the driving force is you want to prove that what you're saying is true. Because you're tired of people laughing at you. You're tired of people talking shit. When in reality, they're uninformed. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're sitting there all smug and superior, laughing and giggling at you like you're the idiot. And in all reality, they're the idiots. Because they don't know anything. They just blindly follow and believe what they're fed. But they don't ever look into anything. And that's, I think, the biggest problem our society has. Is that you got too many damn people who think they're right and talk a lot of shit, but don't really know anything. They've never actually looked into any of these things. We saw that during the pandemic. Very early in the pandemic, when they were telling you that you had to wear a mask. I came out very early and said, hey, that's bullshit. Masks don't work. And I explained it. I said the weave pattern on those masks are 60 microns wide. The virus is 1 micron in size. What that means is you could stack 60 of them in a square pattern to fill that hole in the mask. So one will go right through it. It's not going to stop it at all. Not even a little bit. Like, in relative terms, that hole is bigger than any door you walk through every day. It's bigger than any parking space you park in. Like you could go to an airplane hangar and how big that door is, that's kind of what we're talking here. It is enormous compared to the virus. So there's no way it can stop it. And I had tons of people who never researched a thing in their life. They have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They don't understand about the micron size. They don't understand anything. But they made fun of me and they laughed and they ran their fucking mouth constantly. That happens over and over and over again. At this point, I am so used to being shit talked by morons who don't know anything. It happens all the time. But that's what happens to these people. And that's why they want to prove that what they're saying is true. So they're not going to stop digging. They're going to find more and more and more information. And what's going to happen is the information that you're trying to keep secret is going to end up being found. And somebody's going to blab it. And then you're going to be screwed. So the wisest thing for you to do would be just to do what I said. Come out and say, yeah, aliens are real. We lied. All those people have been saying it all this time. They were 100% right. We were just covering it up because we didn't think you could handle it. And we didn't really know what to do about it. Because there's really nothing we can do. Because they're so much more advanced than we are. So we didn't want to worry people and frighten people. So we just pretended it wasn't real. Something like that would work. And all of those people that would be digging in and finding all the information to expose you would take a victory lap instead. They'd be like, yes, they said I was right. Now all my family, all my friends, all those assholes who laughed at me, look, I was right. That's what they'll be doing. They'll be spending their time doing that instead of digging into stuff you don't want them digging into. So that's how I would handle it. But as usual, the government's going to do what the government's going to do. There ain't nothing I can do to change that. So you can look forward to more disclosures coming out. You can look forward to more whistleblowers. You can look forward to more secrets that the government doesn't want to be known being known. That's going to happen. Especially with the president that we have coming in. With Trump coming in, he's already promised to fully release the JFK files. So I guarantee you, if there's more stuff like that that's being hidden, there's a possibility that he might just let her rip. You know what I mean? You never know. But anyway, that's what I got to say about it. I'm gonna throw over to Old Boy and get his opinion because I know he's been following this as well, and see what he has to say. So go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a good night. Here we go again. We talked about this the other day. Give me 1 second. I just got to dust off my glasses. Getting a little cold here in California again. It's supposed to get real cold tomorrow. We've done this a couple times. Just what's a minute? Why would somebody in the Pentagon again say it used to be just say this shit for no reason? I get it. You don't trust people. You think people are going to lose it. Most people believe it anyway. 75% of people in the world believe that aliens or more believe the aliens are real. Mm-hmm. We're not number one. I think that's going to bother people. There's another thing I'm going to get into in a couple minutes. But I do agree with James's assessment that they think we're stupid and we can't handle things. And I'm going to be honest, about 50 to 60% of people won't be able to. Because one, it's going to change beliefs. It's going to change a lot of things. Now, it doesn't mean that gods and goddess, whatever you believe in doesn't exist. It doesn't really talk about that. It doesn't say that aliens exist or not. In any Bible, and I'm saying the Quran, The Holy Bible doesn't say they exist or they don't exist. And another thing is, this is another thing is coming. It's they're going to be evil some way. And I know people are going to say this shit. They're not. Trust me. James is a Christian. He worked for NASA. He knows they exist. That's all I can say. Nowhere in it says that we're the only things here. And I'm just going to get that straight out because I think that's what a lot of people are afraid of. And there probably is bad aliens and there's good aliens, like good people and bad people. It's probably the same thing. I think that there's different species too, and I think he agrees on that too. We both can agree on that. I think there's many different species. You know what it's going to be like? It's going to be like fucking Star Wars. Not maybe that extreme where running around with lightsabers. That would be fucking cool. Get a lightsaber double. I'd have a double-bladed red and black one. Cut your balls off right off. Somebody talks shit, cut their balls right off. And motherfucker, you ain't laughing. You don't have to worry about peeing one way or another more. No more cold nights for you. But on that, it's going to be like that. I believe there's different species. The reptilians, the grays, the greens, the big eyes, the indigo children, the Anunnaki. I think they exist. And I think we're going to finally... I think we're ready now. I think, yeah, people are going to be shocked, but it's time to move on from this. You know how much shit we can learn if these people are real or whatever they are, extraterrestrial? Fuck, we can get off this damn planet. Start doing what we're supposed to be doing, what we should have done 50 years ago. This is bullshit. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I think you froze, James. Oh, no, you look like you were... Oh, sorry about that. You look like you were totally frozen. Sorry. You did that good. Sorry, we'll get that out in the other. But this shit, we should have been fucking in other planets by now. He wants to go to Mars. They don't want him to go. We could go now. It's bullshit. We could have been so much more, and we've just turned into this. Arguing on TikTok, arguing on social media, fighting over shit that doesn't matter. If aliens comes, this changes everything we can ever imagine. President shit don't matter no more. Because I'm going to tell you, they probably have better fucking technology than we do. Weapons, stuff or we probably already know it because we've been using it. Then we can get out of this world. Then me and James can really go and do what we wanted to do and go to other planets and fuck off all these people. And nothing wrong, but you know what? I would rather be going to another planet, seeing other things that I've never seen before than worrying about what the hell is going on here. Fuck, a three-headed deer or something, I don't know, a green tiger or something. Something that looks like it. That would be great. A kangaroo with fucking 6 arms or something pitches to you, makes you a hot dog at the same time. That would be something I want to see. And I'm just kidding, guys, but I would love to see different species. You don't understand. I play Starfield. He plays it. It's about going to other worlds. It's going to be kind of like that, like Starfield is. Got different aliens, different creatures. You run around, do what you want. And I want a fucking Millennium Falcon. That's what I want. And I've always wanted it. And I know James has too. That's what I want to be doing. You know what? That pisses me off. In 20,000, I want to save my body so I can go fly a fucking Millennium Falcon in 1,000 years. And that would be great. Just imagine you have something like Chewie. Maybe not exactly like Chewie, but something on the fucking thing that talks shit back to you. That would be great, man. That Slave One, Boba Fett's ship, those are badass, man. Imagine if you had one of those. Dude, you just fly around and see the universe. That something that if you're a nerd and you're not going to understand how much that to us, and I'm not the biggest science guy, but that's one of my biggest things. I would love to see what space is about. I know that's James's fucking world, dude. He'd love it. He'd probably stay there forever. Never get him back. But it's so beautiful. It's you'll never see anything like it. It's just not, there's endless of never ends. Never ends. When they say nothing lasts, it will always last forever. And that's crazy if you think about it. You see so many different stars and planets, and then you get to meet new people and new beings and new stuff, new worlds. Who wouldn't want to do that? That's like that's a sci-fi dream. You know, and that's what's so crazy. They're ripping us off for years for this shit. We could have been already doing this. We could have been going around, flying around with Moon Man. We're fucking off doing this shit. This is bullshit. They should be held accountable, man. I wanna go to space. I want to go to other planets. I want to see what their worlds are like. What do they do? How is their politics ran? Do they have like a council? Do they have like a king? Do they have a whole bunch of people who run the world? How do they run their worlds? Is it bigger than ours? Do they have different kind of species of whales and stuff in the ocean? Maybe they have a green ocean or a red ocean. You never know. That would be something amazing, like Star Wars. I'm sick of these people lying, man. They lie about everything. And it's crazy that we have these people control everything. I think we live in a big lie, and people need to start realizing it. We need to start wanting the truth. If we can't handle it, that's too damn bad. We're going to have to learn it. Because there's stuff that we need to know that's real. These things are real, and they need to just fucking quit playing around because everybody's sick of hearing it. Just fucking say, they're real. Slap somebody doesn't fucking wake up, they're fucking real, dude. Fucking get over it. And then, like James says, in about a year, people will be fine. They'll come down here, they'll start playing video games, and we'll have another whole millions of people to play Xbox in. That's all that matters to me. I don't care. He doesn't care. He wants to learn from them. I could tell you right now, James is a book of knowledge, and he knows that if they're here, there's a whole lot of shit now he's got to learn. And it's a challenge, and he loves challenging, especially if they would say that James got to go to another planet and they let him go to their archives or their library, he'd be there for fucking years. You wouldn't be able to fucking pull him out of there. It would be knowledge and shit to learn. He'd probably learn how to fucking build his own spaceship. He'd have his own Millennium Falcon. I could see him doing that shit. But that's what I'm saying. That's what he would do. He'd build. I know. I'll tell you right now. If lifesavers existed, this motherfucker's gonna have one. And you can get that on my thing. He's going to make a lifesaver. He's going to probably cut some people in half, and he's going to get a blaster too. If they have blasters, he's going to get one of those too. Shit, he's going to be heavy armed, alien style. But I'm just saying is they need to stop with this bullshit. I'm so sick of seeing that they're having this whole turnout, and people are not even talking about it. They're trying to hide this shit. This guy's talking. I've been watching it. I wanted to do the show about this anyway. See, me and James work on the same fucking mind. It just happens. We had another show in mind. The person couldn't make it, but now we're doing this one. It's a lot better and a lot more entertaining. You guys have seen Alien Nation? It was only like one or two. They did the movie and then they had the TV show. It was pretty weird, but I liked it. That was a little too extreme. But I'm saying like Alien Nation, Star Wars, Star Trek, that would be one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. I mean, like that. What an accomplishment to get out of here and going up to the world and in the universes and see planets and not have to worry that I got to go hurry up and worry what kind of bullshit's on TikTok and what kind of bullshit's on today. Is it going to be the end of the world, the 16 suns that's coming out and we're going to die? Is it going to be the swamp alien creature that shows the guy and you could tell it's a total python swelled up and they made it look bigger and he's in the water and it's a giant alien monster. Jesus. It's just as bad as the aquarium. What was that paper called? The one that they always had bullshit in it, like Bat Boy got married to somebody. The Aquarium, what was it called? The Inquirer, right?
There was three. There was one called The Sun or something like that. Then there was one called the National Enquirer, and there was one. Yeah. My favorite was the Weekly World News, Weekly World News is the one that was black and white and had like Bat Boy on the cover all the time and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that was a fun one.
And that's the shit that people used to do. Now TikTok's become that. But the problem is people believe this shit. That's what's so crazy. They believe it. They believe anything. They're falling for the same shit we did when we were in the fucking medieval times, that people were witches and they weren't. It's the same shit. Werewolves exist. Vampires. They went and killed dead bodies and they weren't even vampires. This is the stupid shit that it's going on. Now now looking at that, James, it is kind of real. People wouldn't know what to do. There's so many idiots. They would they'd probably start killing them. I don't advocate. Don't even want to say that word. Mass suicides, because they think the world's coming to an end, not even understanding anything. Total fear would run the streets. And for what? What's already been known? Do you really think we're the only species in this world? There's millions of planets and universes. It's impossible. It's mathematically possible for this to even be the only place that has anything here. The odds are impossible. It's impossible to think that we're the only species in the universe. Mathematical, sorry, I was getting the word now. Fuck, guys, you know how I am. That's old boy, fixing this speech. But it's impossible. The science and math on it is impossible. And it's not going to be anything evil. It's probably the same shit that we deal with, bad and good and bad. Maybe they believe in something different than we do, but in a different way, the same. It doesn't matter. We need to know the truth. It pisses me off, and it pisses him off because we know the truth, and they don't want to tell everybody. We just have to do it slowly. You got to slowly do it. Start doing what they're doing. Just keep on doing it. Trump, now he's going to be the president. Start talking about it. I know he wants to. Just fucking tell everybody the truth. And everybody can get over it. 6 months, no one cares. Back to the same bullshit. Loch Ness Monster jumping out of the ocean. I don't know, something like that. Giant ape comes out of the mountain, 17 feet tall. And it's always funny when you see these videos, because this guy's, about a half mile down, they're walking in the snow in Antarctica, and all of a sudden you see this thing jump out of the snow, and I'm like, come on, dude, that's some motherfucker in a suit, and it's getting ridiculous, guys. Come on, it's not that big of a deal. You know what? They exist. We need to quit playing around with that bullshit. They need to be honest about everything. We know they had special units in the 40s and 50s that did these creatures and aliens, werewolves. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth that our life is dragons were real. We know they were. I'm just saying all together. Just be honest. Stop with this shit. Maybe we've all been so blind that really, like, what was going on in the middle of time with giants and monsters and shit, this shit was real. They just want us to forget about it because they got over it. Maybe like Lord of the Rings, like maybe that was really the real. The elves and all them took off and said, fuck you guys. That's kind of the way it looks. And the aliens said, fuck you guys too. Maybe that's what happened with the pyramids. These people are fucking stupid and they're crazy. We're getting the fuck out of here. And that's what I think kind of happened. We'll keep from a distance and watch what the fuck they're doing. And I think you agree with me on that one, James. These people are stupid. And I'm just saying all together. Go ahead.
What if we were a slave force for them? What if they used us to build a lot of their shit as slaves? And then, like mankind does, we want freedom. We don't want to be slaves. So we rose up, and the baddest motherfuckers among us rose up and whooped their ass. And they're like, man, we got all this technology, we're badass, but there's millions of these people. And they're coming and coming and coming. They just said, fuck this, we're out. And bailed. Or maybe they didn't get away. Maybe we killed their ass. Maybe that's what some of those weird ass skeletons we have and everything are. Is we took them out. And yeah, we won, And then we did our own thing. And maybe it takes a long time to get from where they are to where we are. So maybe were able to send off a signal before they died, or they didn't check in or something. They said, send somebody to figure out what the hell's going on with this. So then they show up in the 40s and they're like, what the hell happened? And then they crashed, and now we got them. And they were able to send a message back. Maybe we got a whole bunch of them fuckers coming. You know what I mean? Maybe we might be in trouble here before too long. You never know, man. Because the problem is, history is written by the victors. You've heard that, right? Where the people that win the wars write the history of the war. So you never get the real story. You get the propaganda they want you to get. But what that tells you, if you're a thinking person, the more important lesson there is that history is bullshit. Like, the majority of it is bullshit. You get little nuggets of truth. You can kind of get what happened, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, we talked about the pandemic earlier. Look at the mainstream narrative of the pandemic, what they said happened. Somehow a bat got a virus from a pangolin, and some dude ate it in a soup or some crazy shit, and then next thing you know, the whole world is sick. Like, that's the bullshit they try to say happened. So if you go by the official narrative in 1,000 years and you read that, that's what's written. People are going to think that's crazy, man. They had some big, like we talk about the bubonic plague coming from fleas that were on rats, right? That's the story we're told in history class. That's how the bubonic plague started. How do we know that shit's true? How do we know that it didn't start some other way and that's just the bullshit they said? Because they said bullshit this time. You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't actually know what actually happened in history. We just know what people said happened in history. So it's hard to tell what the true history of any of this stuff is. You know, the only thing you can do is look at the actual archaeological evidence that you have and try to make a guess on what happened. And if you look at, like, most of mainstream archaeology, they're full of shit, a lot of them. Because a lot of them say that there was no people in America before a certain time period. But the problem is, we have evidence of people in America thousands and thousands of years before they say there were people in America. See, they're stuck on this narrative that somehow people walked here across a land bridge that used to connect, like Russia, Siberia, that area used to connect to North America, and they walked here from it. And that's the first people to get here. That's what they say. But the problem is, there was people thousands and thousands of years before that. You know, the Amazon rainforest was planted. That's not a naturally occurring rainforest. That was planted to provide a civilization that was there with food. You know, they were making what they call terra preta, which is this amazing soil, which is the most fertile, most amazing soil on the planet. And basically the way they did it was a giant compost heap. They took all their garbage, their feces, dead things, all that shit, and everything organic, and threw it in a big ass pile, along with like pottery and shit like that. It was a garbage heap. And it composted down and made the greatest soil the world's ever known. And they use that to turn what we see now as the Amazon rainforest into this giant orchard and food forest of all these different plants and all this different stuff that was edible and medicinal for their civilization. And then that civilization gets wiped out and it kind of gets overgrown and turns into jungle. But that is the sign. And inside that jungle, there are pyramids, there are all kinds of different cities and stuff like that are covered up by the jungle that they've discovered using aerial photograph and using LiDAR and all those kind of things. Very, very interesting stuff. But what I'm saying is, archaeology is full of shit, most of it. Because they claim that, oh, there was nobody here before this point. And then you say, wait a minute, what about the Clovis people? Because they have legends going back talking about that there are people who were here long before that. And we found Clovis points, which are arrowheads and spear points that date way before you say there was people here. So what the fuck? How do we have evidence of people here when you say there was no people here? How do we have cities that were built before people ever walked here from over in Asia. How's that possible? And then they just call you a conspiracy theorist. And they call you a nut. You know, there's a dude named Graham Hancock who put some stuff on Netflix recently. He's got some really interesting stuff. You can look. He's got multiple books. He was on Rogan. He was a journalist, and he started looking into this stuff. And he's provided some amazing evidence. You know, talk to different archaeologists, talk to different scientists in different fields that have worked on this stuff. Fascinating. But my point is, you don't know what the truth is because they lie so damn much. And that's the problem I have with modern people thinking they know every damn thing and laughing at you when you say something, you know? It's always some idiot. I mean, you got, old boy was talking about all this bullshit on TikTok and all this bullshit on social media and all this bullshit everywhere now, on YouTube everywhere. You got people that are experts. I'm a paranormal expert. They're like fucking 16 years old or something, dude. What are you an expert in, dickhead? You ain't even been alive yet. Your balls ain't even dropped. How you an expert in anything? You know what I mean? It's such horseshit. It's just people talking nonsense, trying to get views, trying to get clicks, trying to get noticed. So they pretend like they know what the hell they're talking about. All they're doing is rehashing and rereading the same nonsense that's been said over and over and over again on a million other videos. You can watch and see. A lot of me, they even admitted this. They do videos on it, explaining how they get the ideas for their videos. What they'll do is they'll say, okay, I'm going to do a video on aliens. So they'll type into the search something about aliens. And then they'll see what videos come up. And they'll look at the ones that have the biggest views. They'll watch them and see what they said. And then they'll do a video like that, saying the same shit. And then they'll make their thumbnail look a lot like that person's thumbnail and try to replicate their success. That's what they do. They're not experts in anything. They're full of shit. They don't know anything about anything. They're just talking shit, trying to make money on YouTube. Talking shit, trying to make money on TikTok. That's all it is. It's nonsense. But people watch that shit and they think, oh, well, I saw a video on it. It's got to be true. Look into it yourself, dude. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you listening to some 16-year-old idiot? They don't know anything. So you're going to tell me that this 16-year-old kid who can't even pronounce half the fucking words that they're saying, right? Have no idea what they're talking about, that somehow they are an expert, that somehow they have put in all of the study and all the research necessary to become an expert in this field or that field or whatever. Get out of here, man. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You want to see a good one? Look up skinwalkers. Look up skinwalkers on YouTube and on TikTok. See what these people say about them. Then go watch my video. We did an episode of Staring on Skinwalkers where I go through the actual legends from the Navajo and other Indian tribes about skinwalkers and what they actually are. The actual rituals needed to become a skinwalker. All that shit I cover in that show. The real information. Compare that with what all these dumbasses are saying about them. And then that's all you need to do. You know, and you'll see how ridiculous this shit is. And that's what happens too much, man. So you don't know what the actual truth is. So my message here and my point is, don't think that you know everything. Don't think that just because somebody is saying is not what you were taught, that they're full of shit. Unless you've actually looked into it. You know, old boy brought up something earlier that aliens will change everything. It'll change what people believe, their religion, all this kind of stuff, right? And I've heard that a lot from a lot of different people. And he also said that the Bible doesn't really talk about aliens. Well, I'll read you something real quick. I got to put my glasses on because I'm an old man. I can't see to read without them. But I'll just read you a couple, right? A couple in Ezekiel, and there's a couple more. In Ezekiel 1:4, it said, "And I looked and beheld a whirlwind come out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire, right? They're talking about a spacecraft there. They're talking about the fire, the light, the flying around. It's a spacecraft. Isaiah 13:5, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, right? And we know from the Bible that heaven is in the sky, above the sky. That's where heaven is. So they're saying that these things came from a far country, from far away. They come from the end of heaven, which means out of our atmosphere, out of our sky. They came down into the sky from above the sky. That's space. Even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. So what they're saying there, that they come from above heaven in space, they come down to make war on mankind, and they use the weapons of the Lord, which means technology we don't understand, right? That means weaponry so powerful and so destructive and so beyond what we can compare or compete with, that we look at it as a weapon of Almighty God. That's how powerful this weapon is. That'd be like if you're walking around with a flower as your only weapon and you're hitting people with a dandelion, and somebody comes in with a rocket launcher. Big difference, right? You're like, whoa, what the hell is that? I've never seen anything like that. That's what we're talking here. Weapons of the Lord to destroy the whole land. Revelation 9:7-11, and the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men, right? So they're talking about creatures who look different, right? They're talking about the shapes of locusts. That's a cigar-looking shape, right? We have UFOs. They call it tic-tac UFOs that look like that. And it says they were like unto horses prepared unto battle. So they had armor on them, right? What would you describe a metal spaceship that looked like that? You would describe it as an armored locust-like looking thing. In that time, they had no idea what an airplane was. And on their heads were as it were crowns like gold. Okay, so they had glowing around them. We see a lot of lights in UFOs and stuff. And their faces were as the faces of men. Just think about the grays. They look like people, other than the fact that they're small and their head is different shape, but their face looks like our face, right? And there's a ton more, dude. I could go through dozens more, but I don't want to spend the whole show quoting scripture to you. My point is, there's a lot of scripture that talks about what can definitely be interpreted as UFOs or aliens or some sort of out of the ordinary extraterrestrial type creatures, right? They talk about chariots that fly in the sky that are like on fire and all this stuff. Once again, flying, armored chariots, lights coming from the heavens, all those kind of things, man. So the Bible talks quite a bit about what could be aliens and UFOs. You know, you've got a lot of history that talks about it as well. A lot of old manuscripts, a lot of stuff that we found in caves, you know, cave paintings and stuff like that, that show a lot of the hieroglyphic stuff from Egypt. Has a lot of stuff that could be interpreted as UFOs and aliens. There's a lot of it. You know what I mean? A whole lot of it. So the idea that UFOs or aliens is some modern phenomenon is just wrong. And the idea that the Bible doesn't talk about it, that religion doesn't talk about it, that a lot of ancient civilizations haven't talked about it is also wrong. It's something that mankind has talked about as long as we've recorded history. And it's something that I know that the Bible talks about, and I bet you that you'll find passages in the Quran. I bet you that you'll find tales like that from Buddhism, from pretty much every religion. I guarantee you has something that can be interpreted as UFOs or aliens. So my point is, I don't think it'll change anything for the majority of people as far as that knowledge. It's not like people are going to say, "Oh, there's aliens." Oh, that means God doesn't exist. That means that Jesus didn't come down here and die on the cross. That means that none of this stuff is real. That's not the case at all, because the Bible never said aliens don't exist. Matter of fact, the Bible talks a lot about stuff that, if you look at it from that time period, of somebody who doesn't know what spacecraft are, doesn't know what an aircraft is, doesn't know what all this technology is, they would describe it in the vocabulary, the jargon of their day. So they would equate it to something that they understand. So a spacecraft would be like an armored locust, or it would be a chariot flying through the sky, or something along those lines. When they're seeing lights coming down, especially red lights and stuff like that coming down from the heavens, they're going to equate that to fire, because that's the color that it is, orange and red. That's fire, right? They don't know that it's not fire. They don't know that it's just lights, because they don't have lights. They're not walking around with a flashlight, and they don't know what that shit is. You know what I mean? So to me, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that it's something that people have been dealing with for as long as there's been people. There's a lot of theories on why that is. There's theories that we were a genetic experiment placed on Earth. There's all kinds of theories out there. And maybe one day we'll do a show where we just go through a lot of these different. We probably already did that show, to be honest with you. We've done so many damn shows. But maybe one day we'll talk about it again and go through some of that stuff. But I mean, I think Old Boy's right. You're going to have a certain amount of the population that's just going to lose their shit. They're not going to be able to handle it. They're going to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. We already know what's going to happen. The Democrats are going to want to give them rights and sign them up to vote as soon as they can if they think that they'll vote for them, right? The Republicans, right away, we're deporting their ass. Fuck you, get out of my country. We don't need you here. You didn't come in illegally. Fuck off. That's what we're going to do, right? I'm being a little facetious, but you're going to have people that react in different ways is my point. And I guarantee you what's going to happen if they do come down here. If it is like Alien Nation, I love that movie, by the way. They get drunk off rotten milk. That shit's so awesome. If it is like that, and they actually come and live openly among us, it's only a matter of time before they go out drinking with a bunch of rednecks. And when that happens, we're going to get you drunk. And we're probably going to beat the shit out of you, because that's what we do. And we're going to steal your spaceship, and we're going to crash it into our barn. That's going to happen. I guarantee you, if they live openly among us, you're going to have some redneck drunk driving in a UFO that gets into a wreck. It's just bound to happen. That's kind of our MO. That's what we do. We love to go out. We love to get wild. We love to fight. And we love to drive fast and do crazy shit on sketchy stuff. You ever seen a lawnmower race? Check that shit out. If you city people that don't know nothing about the South, check that shit out. What you do is you take a lawnmower, right? A riding mower like a deer or a Murray or something like that, and you soup that sumbitch up. You build it up real fast. You give it a lot more horsepower, and you race them. That's some fun shit. Check that out if you want to see what rednecks do for fun. We like doing that. We like demolition derbies. We like monster trucks. Basically, we like to go fast, and we like to fuck shit up. That's what we do. So trust me when I tell you, if aliens do come down here to live, they might want to live in the north, in the blue states. They might not want to come down south until they study us a little bit. But if you think about it, maybe that's their plan, old boy. Maybe that's exactly what they're doing. Because you notice every time you hear an alien abduction story, what are the majority of them? The majority of them are they pick up some redneck in a field somewhere, they take him up, they butt diddle him, and drop him back off. That's like the story we hear all the time. The majority of these things are rednecks from a trailer park somewhere in the South. That's who it happens to. And I think they do that for a couple reasons. I think, one, they don't think anybody's going to believe the redneck from the trailer park in the South. They're like, they ain't going to believe it. Because just the way they talk, you know what I mean? Our Southern accent, it doesn't lend credibility to what we're saying a lot of times. And two, they need to do a little research on rednecks and find out what makes us tick, because we're the most dangerous people on the planet. You know what I mean? That's the truth of it. That's who fights all the wars. That's what makes America such a badass, is the rednecks. If America didn't have rednecks, we'd have been taken over already. I guarantee it. I promise you, other countries look at America and say, "Yeah, we could take New York. We could take L.A. Well, I don't know about L.A. because you got them gang members in L.A. L.A. put up a hell of a fight, but we could take Massachusetts. We could take New York. We could take most of these areas. We ain't fucking with Texas. We ain't fucking with the mountain men in Virginia and West Virginia. And we ain't messing with Florida boys. We ain't messing with none of those Southern people because those Southern people are nuts. You know what I mean? That's who fights. But anyway, I think we're about done with this shit. Oh boy, you can go ahead and give your shout outs and all that, and we'll wrap up.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, that was a good one. And you know what? This actually ended up being a really fun show, and I enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I want to give a shout out to Parax Radio every Sunday nights at 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern. Best of show Tuesday nights, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. I want to thank you guys for listening to us. If you guys want anything at the store, go to Staring in the Abyss, teespring.com, and you can get shirts, all kinds of cool stuff. We'll even put We're Screwed stuff in there eventually. And the character. Just so everybody knows, my book is done. I'm just editing it. And it will be out. I won't say the name for another couple weeks, and I'll throw that out. I want to give a shout out to Drunken Oracle. If you guys want to check out her stuff on TikTok, you can order all kinds of oils and stuff like that. I told her I'd give her a shout out, and I did. Celeste. That being said, check us out on James Hirsch's YouTube page. Just subscribe. You can listen to every show. Everything's free for now. And as long as we have something to say about it, it will. We never know. We are talking in with big name people now. And I can. James doesn't even. Now he knows we are talking to certain people. Well, some of the people we have crew with are talking to big name peoples, and in one of the biggest names in the whole industry. So that's thinking it could come down in the future. We never know. Or a movie could come. That's all we can tell you. That being said, I hope you guys have a good weekend. Thank you to our veterans. It was Veterans Day Monday. I want to thank all our veterans, and Thanksgiving is in 2 weeks. So I hope you guys have a lot of turkey, and James's birthday is in a couple weeks. So he'll be happy 50. Happy early birthday. I wanted to throw that out just in case we don't end up doing the Thanksgiving, because it is on Thanksgiving. We might have to do the show a day early. But that being said, I hope all you guys have a good night. Misfit Chicken Lays, Monster Livers, I love you, and have a good night. Blessed be.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 50 years old, man. I'm old. It's funny because when I was little, before I became even a teenager, you look at 50 years old and you're like, shit, man, that is ancient old. You expect, when you look now at a 90-year-old, that's what I used to think 50 was. When I look at it, I'm like, damn, 50 years, that's a long time, And now I'm 50 and I realize I'm still that kid. You know what I mean? I'm no different than I was as a teenager. The only difference is it takes me longer to do things. I hurt more after I do them, and I need these things in order to be able to read stuff. But other than that, I'm the same exact person that I always was. In here, I'm still young, and in my head, I'm still that crazy teenager, blowing shit up and building cannons and doing fun stuff. I'm still that guy, and I know a lot of people that are older than that will say, "Oh, 50's nothing, man. Shit, you're still young." Yeah, I am. I'm not saying I'm 90. I'm not creaking along with a cane and all that shit. But this is about a time of life that you really start to notice. Your vision starts to go a little bit. Your hearing starts to go a little bit. You're not able to do things like you used to be able to do them. In the old days, man, I could go out and I could hunt all day, walk around the mountain, chop wood, carry whole trees down the damn mountain by myself, go get in a couple fights, go get drunk, get an hour of sleep, get up and do it all over again. And be great. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now, if I sleep wrong, I'm hurt for a week. You know what I mean? That's some nonsense. How do you hurt yourself sleeping? That's stupid as shit. But you do, man. It's weird as hell. I stretched today, dude. I went, ugh, and then a muscle in my back all the way up to my neck just went like this and clenched up. and cramped, and I was like stuck. And I was like, oh shit, I can't move. And I thought, how the hell did I just hurt myself stretching and yawning? That is ridiculous. Way it goes, I reckon. But I wanted to say real quick before we leave, old boy was talking about lightsabers. You can actually build a lightsaber. It's been done. You build them out of plasma, but the only drawback of a real life lightsaber is the intense heat put off by that plasma pretty much catches everything on fire that you get close to with the thing. So it's not workable in like a real world setting. You can't actually use it. I mean, you can, but you're going to burn everything down. And it's not something I'd want to hang on my belt, because if it does activate by itself, which it has a tendency to do sometimes, you're really jacking yourself up. Because I mean, you can cut through metal and everything with it. It's pretty amazing. But the problem is, it drips plasma. That's an issue, because that'll catch everything on fire and it'll burn through whatever the hell it lands on. That sucks. But also, it's just way too hot, and it just catches shit on fire that's anywhere near it. So yeah, they're still working on it. You know, one day maybe we'll have an actual lightsaber that's safe. I doubt it. You go buy a toy one is all I can say if you really want one, because you won't burn your house down that way. But anyway, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Hope you enjoyed our rambling on tonight's show. And as always, up to you to make up your own mind. Let me know down in the comments section what you think, and we'll catch you on the next one. Till we speak to you again. Love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.
In order for the light to shine so brightly, the darkness must be present. Tune in every Monday at 10 o'clock for Dark Sun Rising on the Para-X Radio Network.
Throughout time, events have occurred that have shaped human history. Spirit voices from the past have many stories to tell, and for the past several years, channelers Barry and Connie Strom have been conducting live channeling sessions and relaying those stories and messages from those on the other side. We invite you to tune in to Barry and Connie's show, Channeling History, on the Para-X Radio Network every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, as they relay the messages of those voices from the past, the ones who have witnessed history firsthand, and those who have made history themselves.